Hi, I'm Steve Mitchell, aka The Modern Gentleman from themichelli.com, and in this episode, I'm going to be tasting the Jura Tastival whiskey. So a short time ago, I had the honour of reviewing one of these Track special edition Jura bags, and when I was talking to the guys over at Jura, they said, well, if you're looking at that, would you like to sample our 2016 special edition Jura Tastival? And I said, well, of course. Now, if you speak to any of my friends or colleagues, or if you're a regular follower, you will know that whiskey is my drink of choice. But I'm no connoisseur, I am just an enthusiast. So I will do my very best to review this based on my limited experience. I say limited, I've been drinking whiskey for years, but it's just purely as a consumer, not as an expert. So this is probably going to be a different type of review to those that you're used to seeing. Now, I'm not going to smell it from this sample bottle. Sample bottle, that sounds just wrong. But I am going to put it in my special whiskey tasting glass. And I'm going to look at the colour first of all. And it is a beautiful amber, deep amber colour. It's not as rusty as some of the other Jura drinks you can get. That's beautiful. It's now it's a very subtle smell. Most of the whiskies that I have, they have a very so I'm a peaty kind of whiskey guy, and this is a very smooth smell to it. You might have noticed that I also have a cup with me. Now what I do is I put a small amount of water in here. I don't know if other people drink whiskey in the same way, and I pop an ice cube in that water because I don't like to put ice cubes in my drink. I know it's very popular, Scotch on the rocks. Sorry, I keep going back to that smell. It's enchanting, and I can't even explain why. I clearly don't have the whiskey vocabulary to do this justice. It's quite compelling. Back to the water. So I put a small bit of water in a small cup, and I put an ice cube in it, and then I'll taste the whiskey, and then I will add a little bit of water to taste. But because I want to chill I have as chilled water as I could possibly have, but just a tiny amount, just to take some of the fire out of the whiskey, so you can get all the flavours without any of that burn that some whiskies, not all whiskies, are famous for. But I always taste it as it came first, just so I can do the compare and contrast. Wow, so the first hit that you get, now the reason I'm a whiskey drinker is because it's a very complex flavour. It's not a drink that you taste and you get the flavour all in one go. You taste a bit and you get an initial sensation, initial bite, and then that kind of seeps over you and you get a second wave near the back of your tongue, and then as you swallow it, you get a third sensation, and by the time you get to that third sensation, sometimes even the taste buds on the tip of your tongue have started to change and develop. So these can be really complex flavours. And just on that tiny sip, this really is, because you get a real sense of alcohol fire in that initial tasting. And then that quickly subsides into a really mellow, warming, glowing flavour. It's not a peaty whiskey that I would take by choice, but that's probably because my experience of whiskey is quite limited. But this is and now it's kind of, I'm getting the sweetness of, because it's a sherry cask. Now after a while I'm getting the sweetness of that sherry coming through, and it's taken a while for that to come through. And a honey flavour. It's definitely a sweet rather than a dry smelling whiskey. Now my second taste, I got the sweetness straight away. From having that first taste, I got the sweetness absolutely straight away. And the fire was very slightly delayed to kick in, but it is now all mellow as it reaches to the very back of my palate. But it's like a floral sweetness that really got my attention to begin with, because it's actually a whiskey that you just keep smelling, and I keep finding different things in even just the aroma of it. It's okay, so I can see now why this is special edition. It is also, if I look at the information I've got, so this was the Whiskey Festival exclusive for 2016, limited edition bottling, triple sherry finish, cask strength, non-chill filtered, and 51% volume. I'm going to try just a bit more of this before I put some water in, just so I can compare and contrast. Now I'm really enjoying this the way it is. So ordinarily I probably, for this first glass, I probably wouldn't put any water in actually, but because I've only got one sample, I don't really have a choice. I'm going to just put, and I put just the tiniest amount. You can always add more later if you need to, but just put just the tiniest amount. And see how that really opens up the sweetness. It now becomes a really Now to me that's perfect. It was probably, if I think of a teaspoon as 5 ml, I'd probably put in 2.5 ml of water. I mean, nothing, but that's all it needed for me, just to relax the flavours up a little bit. I know that there are some people who try and dilute the whiskey down to about 30-35% ABV, but for me it's just to change its characteristics so that it's not too sharp on my palate. And now I get an intense spice taste that goes over my tongue, but I don't get the fire, but it's still an incredibly sweet but interesting whiskey. Now you can probably tell I'm not a whiskey connoisseur, but this is definitely one. I know this is a limited edition. I think they're only making 2,000 bottles of this. If you can still get it, I believe you can. and I'm definitely going to get a bottle of this. And with that tiny drop of water, although it's taken some of the fire out, I still get a heat that rises through the roof of my mouth, and I can feel it in my nose and at the back of my throat and down into my stomach. It's just such a welcoming, warming, sweet heat. It's smooth, but has got a real cheekiness about it. See, I don't want to use the word fire too much because that gives the wrong connotations. But it's got a bite to it that is lovely. It kind of bites you, and then it kind of hugs you with the warming sensation afterwards. And that sherry sweetness is to die for. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is definitely on my buy list. I will put a link to this review below in the video if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you found this video from coming to my website. I will also put links to the Jura Special Edition backpack review in there, and I will see if I can find a link to somewhere where you can buy this as well. So if you like this video and you would like to see other reviews, like the video and make sure you subscribe so more of these videos will come to you. Check me out on Facebook and Twitter. I'm the Michelli, and I'll see you next time.